You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
You know, I was just noticing something the other day. I think it was Word, Microsoft Word. They tweet the icon, right? And it used to have like 4 little lines. Now it has 3. And it sounds tiny, but it feels like every major brand is doing this sort of visual shuffle right now. Almost like they're trying less hard to look like a super polished, perfect system and more just going for, a vibe, an expressive feeling.
Yeah, that tension is spot on. That's exactly what we're going to dig into today. The idea is to really look closely at the big moves happening right now in product design, brand identity, stuff that's probably on your radar if you follow Product Thursdays. We're basically mapping out how fast things are changing, both visually with logos and icons, but also how the big platforms are fundamentally shifting how you actually use them.
Right. And I guess, this being the vocal technologist, we need someone to make sense of it all. So the big question, the one driving this whole conversation is, what does all this constant change, a lot of it pushed by AI, it seems, what does it actually mean for the people building this stuff, the designers, the developers?
It means their whole world is shifting constantly. You're seeing huge companies trying to signal massive tech changes like AI integration just through, subtle choices in color or the curve of a line.
Okay, let's unpack that then, starting with the visuals, the big shifts we can actually see. We've got like 2 tech giants making really noticeable changes to their most famous logos. And I mean, what's more iconic than the Google G?
Exactly. Google's rolling out an updated G logo. It's brighter, definitely more vibrant, uses a 4-color gradient now. They sort of tested it quietly, but now it seems to be the standard look everywhere.
Yeah, I saw that. What struck me wasn't just the colors, they're brighter, but what they said about it. The official line is that it symbolizes AI-driven innovation and creative energy. It's like they're explicitly saying, okay, we're an AI company now, and this is what it looks like.
And that gradient is key, visually speaking. Think about it. A solid color feels stable, contained. A gradient. That suggests flow, blending things together, movement, which is pretty much what generative AI does, right? It's a visual metaphor for all that interconnected intelligence.
Oh, okay. Okay. And Microsoft is basically playing the same game, but with their work tools, like Office. We saw the big redesign of the icons for Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Definitely softer curves, more contrast, way more color. And again, those gradients are everywhere.
Yes, and it's structurally linked. Those design choices, they were directly inspired by their Copilot icon. So by softening things up, using those brighter gradients, they're trying to communicate a more, let's say, fluid, connected Microsoft 365. It's like saying these aren't just separate apps anymore. They all work together, powered by AI.
And back to my tiny example with the word icon lines. I read that reducing the bars was actually about clarity and legibility, making it more accessible. It's a very deliberate move away from that sort of rigid, blocky design we saw for years.
And that's crucial for you, the listener, to grasp. This isn't just making things look prettier. It's strategic communication. They're using color and shape to tell you their products have fundamentally changed. They're, smarter, more connected, maybe less intimidating.
Right. So sometimes design signals big tech shifts, and sometimes it's just about adding something unexpected, maybe a bit cool, like totally different field here. But did you see the Adidas logo update for the 2026 World Cup kit?
Oh, the one with the hidden pattern. Yeah, that's clever.
Exactly. It looks normal. But under UV light, this hidden monogram and the 3 stripes appear, like a hologram effect, basically. It's this neat balance between sticking to their classic look and adding this really modern, almost fashion tech twist.
And if you connect that back, you see this interesting split, right? You have these huge tech companies using design for global communication about AI and ecosystems. But then you've got, say, Joni Ive designing a $4,800 sailing lantern.
Yeah, polished glass, perfect steel. Yeah. That's designed as, like, exclusive art for people who value rarity, craft.
Versus design as a public thing, like that new Austin City logo from Pentagram. Cost what, over $1 million? Green and blue arches, meant to unify the city. But then it got absolutely slammed online when a bat version leaked.
Oh, yeah. The public reaction can be brutal, especially with taxpayer money involved.
Yeah.
Maybe they needed a hidden UV feature on that one, too, visible only after you pay your taxes.
It does raise that question, though. Who is the real audience for design when it becomes the strategic language? Is it the elite collector, the everyday citizen needing clarity? Or are these tech companies actually designing partly for the AI itself, teaching the algorithms their brand voice?
Okay, that's a wild thought. But let's shift gears, because here's where it gets, I think, really interesting. Moving from how brands look to how they act. How platforms are scrambling to change their whole structure, their behavior, to match what users now expect. We're basically living through the TikTokification of everything.
Meta is definitely pushing hard on this, especially Instagram. They're testing a pretty major redesign, I think, in India and South Korea first, where Reels, the vertical videos, just become the main page you land on. Stories are still up top, but the whole navigation changes.
Yeah, and that navigation change includes adding a following tab with options for all, friends, latest. It basically pushes you into swiping through content much more. Instagram, which practically invented the scrollable grid feed, is now bending towards that short-form, fast consumption model.
And you see that focus on creators bleeding heavily into Facebook too, which is interesting, right? Facebook was always about groups, connecting with people you know. Now they're pushing things like fan challenges.
Fan challenges, what's that?
Creators basically set a challenge, ask their followers to make reels or posts about it, and then there's a leaderboard ranking the submissions.
Huh, why would Facebook do that? Seems kind of opposite to their whole community vibe.
Well, it's probably a necessary move. The way people create content is shifting massively to short video, and things like challenges and leaderboards drive a lot of creation. They apparently tested this for just 3 months and got something like 1.5 million entries.
Wow.
So yeah, it signals Meta really trying to pivot Facebook towards being a high-volume, creator-first platform, using those same kind of addictive loops that work so well on mobile.
Got it. Now, let's contrast all that platform shuffling with a really different kind of move, more about brand identity. OpenAI, they just launched their first big ChatGPT campaign, and it was different, shot entirely on 35mm film, lots of close-ups, very human moments.
Yeah, it was really subtle, almost soft. The whole message framed AI assistants not as this big, flashy tech spectacle, but as everyday magic. It's a very smart design narrative, I think. It tries to manage the fear or skepticism some people have by making the tech seem like a quiet, helpful tool, not some loud, potentially scary service.
That makes sense. While the tech itself gets more complex and integrated, the story you tell about it needs to get simpler, more human, just to get people comfortable using it.
Precisely. And all these changes, visual and structural, they lead us straight to the big challenge. How does the actual designer, the person doing the work, navigate all this speed and change?
Yeah, the readings are pretty clear on this. AI isn't going to replace designers wholesale, but the job itself. It's changing dramatically almost overnight. We need to look at the skills AI is suddenly demanding.
Right. AI tools are amazing at generating stuff, making variations, doing repetitive tasks. They've basically made basic visual skill a commodity. But what they really, really lack is strategic thinking. They don't understand context, not truly, and they certainly don't have human empathy to solve problems for actual people.
So the designers who are going to be most valuable,
Yeah.
they're shifting away from just pushing pixels around. They need to be more like creative strategists to really focus on understanding the user, providing that human insight that turns AI output into something actually useful and, well, meaningful.
Which connects directly to this idea of the productivity paradox. There's data showing that people using AI tools produce more stuff quantitatively, but they don't actually get any free time back.
How does that work? More output should mean less time, right?
Not necessarily, because the market expectation just rises to meet the new capability. Everyone can do more, faster, so now everyone has to do more faster just to keep up. You're just working harder.
And worse, some creatives are saying AI actually removes something valuable from the process friction. That sounds bad, but apparently friction is good. Can you explain that?
Yeah, it sounds counterintuitive, but friction forces you to slow down, to think, to be disciplined. When a designer has to actually sketch or manually build a prototype, they're forced to wrestle with the core problems, the constraints, the messy bits. That struggle is often where the really original ideas come from. If AI just gives you 5 polished options instantly, you might skip that messy foundational work and just pick something that looks okay, but maybe isn't the best solution.
Right, like skipping the floor plan, because the AI showed you beautiful wallpaper first. You end up structurally unsound later. And we see this need for structure and discipline playing out in how people talk about design systems now, especially this concept of design dialects.
Yeah, that's a great point. A good design system isn't about making everything look exactly the same. It's about enforcing shared principles. Look at Shopify's system, Polaris. They couldn't just use the standard components for their warehouse workers.
Why not?
Because those workers are in low light, wearing thick gloves. They needed bigger touch targets, higher contrast. Totally different context. So Shopify didn't just clone the components, they adapted them.
They created a dialect, right?
Right.
Variations that kept the core Polaris ideas, but were tailored for that specific tough environment. And it worked much better for the users than just forcing uniformity.
Exactly. One author suggested thinking about components in tiers: consistent, never changes; opinionated, some flexibility; and flexible, highly adaptable. It acknowledges that unity comes from shared principles, not just cloned looks.
Okay, so if basic visual skill is becoming common, thanks to AI, then the quality of the execution, the craft, becomes the real way to stand out. The materials mention a framework for evaluating craft in the AI age. What are the key parts?
Right. You have to look beyond just, can someone use the tools? The 5 elements were technique, obviously mastery of the tools, but then intentionality. Does every choice have a clear purpose? Voice, is there a unique, recognizable style? Attention to detail, the polish AI often misses. And finally, visual communication. How well does it actually convey information?
Intentionality really connects back to that strategy piece, doesn't it? And execution being the differentiator, we're already seeing tools designed to accelerate that. Figma bought that, html.to.design tech, right? Now they have a copy design feature that lets you pull AI outputs onto your canvas as editable layers.
Exactly. Or look at Adobe Premiere on the iPhone. Suddenly you've got AI audio fixing tools and Firefly generative video effects right there on your phone. The workflow is just getting compressed incredibly fast, which means designers have to spend less time on the basics and more on those 5 elements of craft.
So pulling this all together, what does it mean? We've seen brands changing their look to signal AI, platforms copying each other's UX to grab attention, and the designer's role fundamentally shifting from maker to, I don't know, curator, strategist.
I think the clearest takeaway is that success in design is depending more and more on the thinking you do before you even start making things, moving away from what some people call vibe coding, just designing based on a feeling, and towards a really intent-driven approach.
Vibe coding, I like that. It's
Yeah.
like painting the walls before you know where the rooms are going, right?
Yeah.
Bound to cause problems later.
Exactly. Which is why you hear about designers actually finding they work faster by spending more time away from the design tools initially. Like, one designer said they stopped using Figma for maybe 70% of their process. Instead, they focused on writing down the problem, the strategy, competitive research, all in Notion first.
And that helped.
They said it doubled their output. Because once they did start designing, they knew exactly what they needed to build and why. The execution became much clearer, much faster.
So intent, strategy, context. That's the real value now. The building part is becoming secondary, maybe even automated in some cases.
And that leads to a really interesting, maybe slightly unsettling final thought. Consider this idea of design attractors.
Attractors, like magnets.
Sort of. They're the stable, optimal design solutions that just kind of emerge naturally because of usability constraints. Think about the best contrast ratio for accessibility, or the most effective place to put a buy button. These aren't really matters of taste. They're based on data and human factors. They're almost like laws of design physics.
Okay, universal solutions that just work best.
Precisely. And some specialists, especially in design systems, are getting a bit worried because AI is getting really good at figuring out and deploying these attractors automatically. So the provocative question for you to think about is this. If AI takes over handling the attractors, the necessary, default, objectively correct solution's what's left, what is the uniquely human element, the thing AI can't automate, that designers absolutely must prioritize and protect above all else?
The non-attractor. The spark. Definitely something to mull over as you navigate all these shifts. Thank you for joining us for this look into the changing world of product design today. We hope it gives you a bit of an edge out there.
Spoken Tech for your ears.